It is no secret that 10 years ago, we almost saw the complete downfall of handheld gaming in its mainstream stay, the same way that we saw from the late 80s all the way to the early 2010s. I mean, at that time, you did have Nintendo and their new 3DS model that was about a year old at that point and was really the mainstay way to play Nintendo games since the Wii U was flopping and it was about a year away from the reveal of the Switch, so it was a really interesting scenario at that point. The PlayStation Vita was around, but at this point, Sony, they kind of dropped the ball with the Vita as far as supporting it for first-party games, and they were pretty much focusing on like their other services like the PlayStation 4 and even the PlayStation TV. And then Xbox, who the fuck knows? It was so obvious that at this point in gaming, one of the main factors of why the medium got so popular to begin with, being its convenience, was dying out in a really rapid pace. But luckily, in the last 10 years, all these companies have learned from their mistakes of counting this, whole side of gaming out, and have now created a cornucopia of just handheld gaming on pretty much all sides of the market. And if it's not there yet, they have plans to make it there in the near future. And let's face it, 10 years ago, a lot of us was either in the prime of our childhood or at least at the tail end of it where we had more freedom to, sit down and waste the entire day playing Call of Duty or whatever you want to play on your console. So having a device at your disposal that you can easily pick up whenever you feel like you have the time to is one of the reasons why I think that handheld gaming can save the whole genre for a lot of people that otherwise just can't. Even if you're already deep into gaming with more than 1,000 hours in Destiny 2 or some shit, I feel like, learning about handhelds and why you should have them is something that everyone should at least have the knowledge of. Now I gotta be fair, this isn't the 80s anymore. We have like a Game Boy or a Game Gear Micro that you can just fit in your pocket and go on about your day, because now we have things like the Steam Deck or even the Nintendo Switch that you can't really, put into your pocket unless you just wearing overalls or something. But hey man, this is the age of everyone wanting everything bigger, bigger screens, bigger specs, bigger body parts. So even though you might have to allocate a little bit of mindful thinking and transport these game devices, luckily pretty much every major store has some sort of game case that you can buy for a pretty decent price. And even, they're still small enough for you to fit into maybe like, a backpack or something. Like, they're not huge. It's not like you're transporting an entire PlayStation console with you, which is, the opposite of all this that you probably don't want to do. Like, I got this simple Nintendo Switch carrying case from Amazon for less than $15 not that long ago, and it works perfectly. It has a zipper so it stores the console inside. There's a whole pouch in here to put your games in. There's a screen protector. It's amazing. And even if you don't want to bring your games outside the house, which is totally understandable, just having portability to play this game in your bed, on the couch, in whatever room or space that you want to have outside of like your desk from playing your console or PC games, you have that option with this portability. And just having that option allows you to play your games privately wherever you want to go to that's outside of like your desk or whatnot, and not have the chance of someone breaking in and seeing you play your Gooner anime games. That's right, we see you. And for the next reason I think handhelds will save your gaming, it's been pretty apparent that, the whole scheme of handheld gaming pricing has dramatically gone down over the years. Once again, going back to 2015, the whole technology in at least the whole PC gaming handheld section of things was in its pretty primal state, since we didn't have the technology condensed enough and pretty much advanced to where we could charge less than, for a console. I mean, you did have some outliers like the Gamepad Digital Windows version that retailed for $330 in 2015, which equates to around $450 in today's, market counting inflation. But now you can get a brand new Steam Deck for 256 gigabytes at $400. And hear me out, because I know people are going to be divisive on this, but you can even get it for cheaper if you buy this console secondhand. Now, I know people don't like to buy things off of eBay, Mercari, or any of those websites because, scamming is at an all-time high from the internet and shit, but I can tell you that there are some legitimate sellers out there that will sell you a good console and for less than $400 and give you the full experience of a brand new Steam Deck or Asus ROG Ally or whatever the hell, you want to use as far as PC gaming handhelds. And then as far as the Nintendo Switch goes, with that console being, however many years it is to its lifespan, you can find that console at least on sale once a month at some retailer around the world. Like, there's so many ways that you can get a Nintendo Switch for less than retail pricing. All in all, for handheld gaming, most of the time you'll be able to find something comfortable and, easy to pick up for less than $500, which is amazing. And then moving on to my next point, this is where we get a little bit more into the specifics of different companies and their specific, handheld consoles. And I want to start with Nintendo because By now, the Nintendo Switch, the original model, has reached its full potential as far as, what Nintendo wants to do with this specific console. So by now, you can find a vast majority of Nintendo, first-party games that have released throughout the years. And as of this video, the Nintendo Switch 2 has not come out yet, but Nintendo confirmed that most of the original Switch games will be compatible on the Switch 2. So that's just an ever-growing library. And then dropping back to my last point, the Nintendo Switch original model will somehow be on sale somewhere, especially by the time the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out. And then just accounting for what the Switch is, it's a handheld plus a freaking traditional console if you want it to be. So depending on what games that you want to play and how much you're willing to compromise to play those games, the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 are likely, the biggest bargains on this list of, handhelds that I'm talking about for, you getting a traditional console and a handheld. But now let's switch over to the PC gaming side of things, to where many players are right now with things like the Steam Deck, the Asus ROG Ally, Lenovo Legion Go S, all that kind of shit. Those are, beasts of handheld PCs. And with those, not only do you get an amazing library of games, but you also get the customization of a full-blown PC, since, most of them are PCs. Now, this doesn't really account for the versions of these consoles that have their own OS, like Steam Deck OS for the original base model. But some of these you have to tweak, and you have to even buy separate versions to get full-blown like Windows installed on those and have like your own customization to that level, which kind of sucks. But I'm not saying that to knock the operating systems of devices like the Steam Deck or the Legion Go S, which have amazing and easy to learn operating systems that work just fine. And then I couldn't not talk about it being the PlayStation Portal. Now, this whole device has mixed reviews and reception, since it pretty much launched as basically a remote player for your PlayStation 5, to where you have to keep it on standby mode wherever you decide to, play the PlayStation Portal. And I mean, that feature works amazing. Like, as long as you have a decent internet connection, you can play from pretty much out of state if your PlayStation 5 is on at home. But recently, Sony finally decided to turn this thing into a worthy competitor, because they recently allowed PlayStation Plus members to have cloud gaming on select PlayStation 5 games on the PlayStation Portal. Now, it does suck that that's locked behind, a paywall of the most expensive version of the PlayStation Plus subscription, but depending on how Sony decides to play this going forward, we could likely see more games going for the PlayStation Portal in cloud gaming, and likely some other time maybe the paywall will be dropped. That's just me wishful thinking, but I have to talk about it. But speaking of cloud gaming, which is getting better and better every year, cloud gaming is also available on pretty much every console that I've talked about today. Like PC gaming, you could obviously play the Xbox Game Pass on there and just have your remote Xbox games that way. Nintendo, they offer select cloud gaming for titles that might be a little bit too big to install on your base Nintendo Switch. Lenovo even offered a whole cloud gaming handheld system a few years back, with its whole purpose of doing, like I said, cloud gaming. So there's even options for that side of gaming if you just want to stream it off the internet. So with all of that being said, no matter what side of gaming that you decide to choose to be your go-to for, a handheld experience, all of this can also be accompanied with your traditional PC or, console experiences, even if you don't want to just stick to only handhelds. Syncing your saves is just so easy now, so if you just want to play on console and then maybe, take your Steam Deck or your PlayStation Portal and just take it on the go, you'll have that option. And plus, even if none of these consoles I talked about today interest you, you still have the entire backlog of every handheld that came in years prior. Like, I know I talk shit about the PlayStation Vita and the 3DS back then, but those consoles are still available for pretty cheap prices on the secondary markets. And that just opens up, hundreds upon thousands of different games from those generations that you have to play on the go as well. And those are likely, going to be more accessible for portability, since they're likely going to be smaller. So the bottom line is, no matter what handheld you decide to go to, they all have the same purpose of allowing you to enjoy your favorite games whenever you like. And that's all that I got for today, man. If you enjoyed, leave a like on the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.